I've got an appointment right now at the 360 Weight Management Center at Polimomi Medical Center in Aiea, Hawaii. And I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to see the doctor today, and we're going to do some kind of assessment, and I'll tell you more about it when I'm done. So I went and did the body composition analysis at the clinic, and no big surprises. They weighed me at 303, which is a couple pounds less than I weighed in the morning, but I didn't eat before that, so weight fluctuates, water, food, all that stuff. 42% body fat. Let's see, I don't have the paper in here right now. I think I'll post it up somewhere. The visceral fat, I think, was 248. I don't really have any reference for that number. The doctor and the nurse both said, I really wish we would have had baseline numbers when you started. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I just found out about the body composition analysis thing like 2 days ago. So, I guess they're just starting to do that for all their patients, do a baseline from the beginning. But I'm going to go back. The doctor said after I lose about another 5 to 10%, so a month and a half, something like that, I'll go back. I think I'm going to try to do this like every month so I can see progress on it. I asked the doctor if we could extrapolate from these numbers, looking at, because it has my lean mass on there. Can we look at that and then, considering what a healthy body fat percentage is, figure out a goal weight from that? And she said no. She said that's not really how she does things. So for her, goal weight is kind of a very vague guideline. This doctor, she's pretty great. She's, for her whole thing is mostly just about like, let's get you into healthy habits and then see what happens. And if we can maintain those healthy habits for a long time, you can have a goal weight, but your goal weight might be too low or it might be too high, and you can adjust for later. So as of now, I'm still going to have a goal weight of about 200. I'm not sure if I'm going to try to maintain that weight, because I've been healthy anywhere from 200 to about 225. But I think 215 might be a good goal. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it goes lower, maybe not. We'll find out. I tried to do some of the math myself, but it doesn't quite add up because I don't know how the water factors into it. So if you just take off the excess fat that I have, it puts me at about 240. I know that sounds really huge for some of you guys, but for me, that's just a little bit chubby. But I think if you deduct the water too, then maybe I might be down closer to about 210 or something like that. Anyway, enough numbers. So I figure now is as good a time as any to just kind of talk about how I got to this point. So I was a huge baby. I was almost 10 pounds when I was born. All of my childhood, I was a little bit big. Sometimes I was a little bit big. Sometimes I was way overweight. It just fluctuated throughout my childhood. As a teenager, I slimmed down a lot, put on a little bit. I was a little bit overweight when I graduated high school. Joined the Marines when I was 19, weighed about 235, I think, give or take. And then coming out of boot camp, I was like 190. But I probably lost, at least 60 pounds of fat because of all the muscle that I gained in the Marines. And then after that in the Marines, I hovered around 200, which was not good because my max weight was 197. So I was always about 200 to 220. And they have an alternate system in the Marines for getting around your max weight, but that was difficult too. So because of that, I ended up, they had me running constantly. If you know much about running, you know that if you want to build muscle mass, running is not the way to do it. Because if you look at guys who are long distance runners, they don't have a lot of muscle mass. They're very strong, they have a lot of endurance, but it really saps your muscle mass. So it actually was very counterproductive for me. Looking back on it, the best thing I could have done would have been a tiny bit of running and just almost entirely weight training. But that's 20 years on, and I know that now. Because I struggled so much meeting my weight goals, I didn't really have the option of re-enlisting. There was no way that I was, with the knowledge that I had at the time and the resources I had at the time, I couldn't have stayed in. So I got out of the Marines. I was kind of unhappy about that because I kind of wanted to get out, but I kind of didn't. I guess it's more like I wanted to have the choice of whether or not to get out. And the way things were, I had so much difficulty that it was just like getting out was really the only option. So after I got out of the Marines, I think I went up to around 300 pounds in, I know it was less than 6 months. I can't even imagine what a shock that would have been to people around me. To me, you're just kind of in a daze. I mean, your pants don't fit. Something's not right. But a lot of times, people like myself, you just don't really see yourself in the mirror. You just see some sort of vague concept. That's why it's really hard when you're losing weight, because you keep seeing the bigger size even as you're getting smaller. And for me at the time, I don't know what was going on exactly, but I just all of a sudden one day went into a doctor's office just for had the flu or something. Stepped on the scale and it was like 310. Speaking of which, at my current weight of about 305, this is the first time since then. Well, this is the weight that I was when I first realized I was so hugely overweight, and I'm almost down to the lowest weight I've been, since I got out of the Marines. When I got out of the Marines, that was almost exactly 20 years ago now. So 20 years I've been dealing with this, and I've lost at times. I did intermittent fasting one time and lost 90 pounds, and it was great, but it was very attitude dependent. I mean, I ate whatever I wanted once a day. I ate literally anything I could eat, but only once a day, and it worked really, really well. But when stuff got more difficult at work, when we had more kids, had less free time at home, things got more and more stressful, and I just wasn't able to keep up with it. So I went up to the highest weight I've ever been. At some point before that, I was around 390, and then I went down to about 300 and gained it all back and even more, and got up to somewhere over 400. I don't know what it was. And my wife has been, very tactfully and kindly suggesting that I do bariatric surgery. And for the longest time, I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I want to do it on my own. And then, at some point I was just like, yeah, it would be great to do it on my own, but it's even more important just to get it done. And we agreed at some point that I would have to set a deadline, and if I don't meet my goals by that deadline, then I would get the surgery. And so I arbitrarily said 45. I'm going to be 43 soon. So I haven't reached my deadline, but at some point I was just like, you know what, forget it. You know what it was? I was working out a lot. I was eating well, and I was losing a little bit of weight. And then I bounced back a little bit. I gained a little bit of weight, stopped losing weight, and I got so frustrated. I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. I got to tell you guys, I'm going to make some more videos about this stuff, but if you're doing everything you're supposed to and you stop losing weight or you gain some weight back, don't worry about it. That stuff happens. A few days ago, I dropped down like 3 pounds out of nowhere, and then I bounced back up another 2.5 pounds. The body's weird. I mean, my doctor, who's an obesity specialist, she doesn't really fully understand all the years of school and all the papers that she reads and all these books and extra education she's done over and over and over. Nobody completely understands the way the body works. And by the way, just because your weight pops back up doesn't mean that you gained fat. It's possible that you had a loss just because you lost a bunch of water and then gained some of the water back. And then there's many other factors, your electrolyte levels, your muscle mass can be increasing faster than your fat loss is going down temporarily. Don't worry about it. I got really upset and I gave up. And so that's the point when I got up to my highest weight ever. And so I just said, you know what, the only way I'm going to be able to do this is with the surgery. So I made an appointment. I went to the obesity clinic, the one I just did the body composition analysis with. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I see a counselor every week, just mental health counselor. Not for anything really specific, just everybody's got, stuff from childhood that contributes to this. I really highly advise that would be a good first step for anybody who's trying to lose weight. Start seeing about take care of your mental health, because that, I mean, that's the keystone to everything. He encouraged me to, do what I was already thinking of doing, to see about the surgery. Went into the clinic, talked to the surgeon, decided I was going to do gastric sleeve, and I got on board. I started. I don't know if you know this, but it is not the easy way out. For some people, it's the only way out, but it's not easy. If you want to do bariatric surgery, there's a lot of work you have to do before they'll let you do the surgery. You don't just go in and get the surgery and then just magically lose weight. Generally, you got to lose about 30 or 40 pounds before you even do the surgery. There are some people who have to lose over 100 pounds because they're just too big for the surgery. So I started, I met with a dietitian over there, started following the plan that she was giving me, and man, I just started losing weight like crazy. At first, all I did was just cut down on the carbs, cut down on the sugar, and then at some point, I was meeting with the dietitian like once a month, and also separately with a nurse once a month, with the telehealth visits. And at some point, they're like, you really should be more strict on you're doing too much carbs, you're doing too much sugar. And I thought I had all the way up to the date of the surgery to get all the way down to this goal. And they're like, no, you need to be eating this way. They call it the bariatric way, long before you can even get signed off to do the surgery. So that was it. I cut out all sugar. I mean, I don't need any added sugar at all now. I haven't had a Coke in like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. I cut my carbs way down, and fat, they're not that super concerned with it. It's almost like a modified keto or Atkins or something. And so I was losing more and more and more. And then when I was meeting with the dietitian and the nurse, at one point they just said, you've done everything you need to do. I had to go meet with a support group. I had to sit in a class with a dietitian and all kinds of stuff. And finally they said, okay, you've met all your requirements. I even had to not only get a letter from my counselor, but I had to go to a different psychologist and get a screening from her and get signed off from her. And finally I got everything all set up, and they said, you're good. You're all signed off. They have a little council. They meet with everyone who I just mentioned, plus the surgeon and somebody else, I don't know who. And they said, okay, this guy's ready, and they set me a date. And the last meeting I had with the dietitian, she was telling me, so once you do the surgery, you're going to need to take a multivitamin twice a day, every day, because you're eating so many fewer calories than you had been, that you're not getting nearly as much vitamins and minerals. So twice a day, every day, plus calcium supplements 3 times a day, not at the same time as the vitamin. The whole time I'd been preparing to do the surgery, I didn't want to do the surgery, but I was determined to do it because I thought it's the important thing for my health. And more important than that, I wanted to, survive, to see my kids be adults, and not have to be a burden on people taking care of me because I had diabetes and my feet cut off or something. So yeah, even though I didn't want to do the surgery, I was determined to do it. And then, in the back of my head, one thing I kept thinking about was, I've done a lot of adventurous stuff in my life, and I want to do more. I've taken a break when the kids are really little, but in the future, I want to do more stuff like, adventure travel. I've done like last minute spur of the moment trips. I did a missionary trip one time that was really fun. It's kind of difficult, even though we were right in the middle of an urban center. Still, it's high stress kind of thing, and I was just thinking about, like, what if I'm always concerned about what I'm eating, and when you have that kind of surgery, you need to eat small meals often. You can't just wait until dinner and eat everything all at once. You literally would just throw up from it. And I thought, that's just the price I'm going to have to pay for being healthy. Something about the thing about the vitamins and the calcium supplement just kind of clicked something in my mind. And when she finally said, we're signed off, we're going to meet, we're going to set a date for you, I just thought, I don't know if I want to do this surgery. And the thing is, I had been losing so much weight that I'd gotten to the point where I was down like 45 pounds or something. And I thought, I've lost so much already just without even having the surgery. Maybe I see how much more I can lose. And I was afraid to talk to my wife about it because I didn't want her to think that I was giving up again like I'd given up in the past. I wasn't giving up on weight loss, but I was just thinking about giving up on the surgery itself. And I said, well, let's just see, I can always still do the surgery. Like, once I get the surgery, I can't undo it. But if I wait on the surgery, I can always go back to it later. Yeah, so I stayed committed. I wasn't quite as strict. I was down to 15 grams of carbs a day. That's like a slice of bread. You can't have even the tiniest bit of sugar if you're going to do 15 grams of carbs a day. So I let up on my carbs a little bit. So now I do at most about 25 or 30. And then occasionally I'll do more than that. Like once a week, I'll have more than that. But usually on a typical day, I'll do 20, 30 grams of carbs a day. So I let up on that a little bit. I eased up on my calorie restrictions. So I was very, very, very low, and I upped it just a little bit. And I started exercising more too, which is one of the reasons I added more calories. And I kept losing. And now I've lost 95 pounds. So that's catching you up with where we are so far. If anybody's still watching this, there's more to come. Now I need to go into Costco and buy sandwiches for my wife's birthday party, which I am not going to eat. And it has nothing to do with the rest of this video. That's just what I'm doing now. So I'll see you guys later.